Welcome to the MOJO Show. Yoga and everything else you need to live the good life and get your mojo working. Hey Mojo Mob, let's come together to discover tips, master resources, create ideas, and take actionable steps to become highly effective and successful mojo masters in everything we do. Start living the balanced, happy, fulfilling lifestyles of your dreams today and the rest of your days. And now your hosts, Jean Marie and Scott Johnson.
It's the MOJO Show, episode number 67, and I'm flying solo here on the MOJO Show end of things today. I'm, of course, Jean Marie Johnson, and we're back after a hiatus. We've had a little bit of a gap here in doing the MOJO Show. We've been settling back in from the Blue Startups time that we had in Honolulu over the winter and getting settled back into a new rhythm here. So we're excited to be back doing the podcast, and I'm really excited for who I have with me here on the podcast today. We have one of our very newest teachers to join us in the Mojo Yoga community. Her name is Rohi Custage. She has the most beautiful name ever. And we're very excited to have her here. Thank you for joining us, Rohi.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
So Rohi has a very diverse background. And Rohi is many things. Among those, she's a breathwork specialist, she's a Reiki master teacher, and Rohi, you're also the director of the Energy of Breath Institute, founded in New York City in 2006, right?
Yes.
Now, you have a lot of things on your plate, and in addition to those things that I just mentioned, you're also a DJ. So you have a diverse, beautiful background, and I think that we really just want to know more about who you are and where you come from.
Sure. Well, I'll say this. I'm quite international. I was born in Guatemala. I've lived in 9 countries and 8 states so far, and my first career was being a professional ballerina.
What?
I trained in England, I danced with the Royal Ballet and then a couple of other companies in the United States, and had an early transition at the beginning of the peak of my career due to injury and other details. And during that time, I discovered DJing, and it was like this blessing. It showed up almost right away as I had to take a break to heal from an injury, and I had thrown myself into college and grad school because psychology was another interest. And during that time, I got into DJing, and that was kind of what really supported me through my psychology degree and grad school, because even though I loved those, it was very different to the purpose and passion that I felt as a ballerina, which I thought was going to be my life forever. There came a point where I could have chosen to get back into dance once the injury was healed, and I opted to continue with the music and finish my degrees. And at that point, I moved to New York, and I had residencies as a DJ. I was jet setting to different countries to headline different shows, playing house music and tech house, techno, tribal, this kind of thing. And it just filled my heart with a lot of joy. And then, so I know I'm giving kind of a long story, but I decided to go to nutrition school and felt like I needed to do some other things with my degree because I was starting to get a little bit bored with the music scene or the particular avenue I was going in with it. And when I was in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York, I then met someone who told me all about breath work.
Oh, wow.
I did this breathwork intensive and some meditations by Osho, this 21-day meditation called Dynamic that turned my DJ night life upside down. At that point, I got into all these trainings for breathwork, and with my partner at the time, we founded Energy of Breath Institute in 2006 in Manhattan and started offering all these meditations, workshops, and then created a 200-hour breathwork training called the Biodynamic Breathwork Practitioner Training.
Very interesting.
And with that, we created lots of retreats, brought people to shamanic journeys in Costa Rica, taught in India at the Osho Resort, and China, all kinds of places. And fast forward to now, I've been working with breathwork all this time. In the meantime, had a beautiful daughter. She's 6 now. I moved from New York to Florida, which is much more my climate nowadays. A lot has happened in between, but basically I've been evolving my work with breath and also combining it with the dance and music again. So all my joys and things that I've loved so much, I've evolved to a place where I see pretty clearly now what my purpose is on the planet, and it is to work with people to activate them into the gamma brain state through these very special breath techniques and energy techniques, and do that along with DJing my own original sound, and also in collaboration with other producers whose music I love, and having them dance, freely express, have these dance journeys, these massive DJ parties where everybody's activating in their consciousness and their movement, and inside of that getting to do dance performances. It's just all come together in such an epic way. So that's kind of a mouthful, but a little bit of about, well, who am I? What am I about?
That's incredible. So, with the DJ mention, we are going to be playing some music here in the background, just in the beginning, just to kind of get us going in the right mood. So what you guys are hearing is a mix that we'll add in later. So it'll be a nice treat for you guys. So how, you mentioned that you got into all of these diverse things, just sort of, it seems like it sounded to me like it was just sort of an intuitive sort of journey. Everything just came along and you accepted these things as they arose for you. What really drives you to do all of this? Because I know that you do a lot. It sounds like you do a ton. So, for all of us, for those of us in this space, this, health and wellness and healing space, we're certainly not in it for the money, so I know that a lot of us in this space, we come into it out of a certain drive, a big why. What's your big why? Why do you do all of this?
Well, first I'm going to say this just to respond to the first part you were mentioning, that kind of intuitively things have shown up. Yes, it's like I just all of a sudden get an insight and take an action step. It's something calls me, and it just all unfolds from there. And inside of that is also, well, why do I do this? I would say I am a very passionate being, and I'm not saying this in a way to brag about myself, but from a very early age, like how it first manifested was with performance, with dance, and it was very much coming from my heart with a lot of energy, and I knew that I had the ability to share this kind of joy with the audience, that they would feel included, and it would also brighten their spirit, and they would open up spaces inside of themselves. So this is something that I've felt since very young, and I would say somehow I thought I was going to lose when stopping dancing, but it seems like very quickly things would come in that would fill my heart even more, and that would seem to make more of a difference also for others. And what drives me really is that I think that I am a facilitator or channel for, on a planetary level, people's consciousness awakening. And I've had the blessed opportunity of being in so many situations where I've worked with mentors and teachers and very aware of all beings that have helped me so much and really believed in me, and it's made all the difference. And I just want to do that for others. And it's not that I'm doing it, but I'm just sharing, and then that kind of vibration others resonate with, and it sparks a lot of just waves of awakening. And since doing gamma breath work, which I'll describe more, I'm sure, so much energy has opened up that it seems like I'm doing a lot of things, but it's all interconnected, and I feel so much joy for doing all these things that it really does feel easy. I've pulled myself through a lot of spaces. There's definitely been lots of ups and downs in my life, and different challenges, and very exhausted spaces. And now gamma breathing for me has been an experience of such a development of full spectrum energy that I just want to share that with others.
Yeah, I am really, really intrigued by this gamma breathing, because I had never heard of it before I heard of you. So when I heard about what you do, I was like, really intrigued by what that might be, this new practice to me. So maybe you can give us just a little overview for those of us who are completely new, completely unaware of what gamma breath is. Help us understand what that is.
Yes, so first I'll say this. Gamma breath was developed by a man named Core Love, because it's important that I mention him. And if anyone's interested, all his work is on a website that's just called www.g.life. So g.life. So there's a lot more to this work than the breath work, but G stands for gamma. So now I'll go into the breath work part, though. So basically, there's a brain state that we can all access called gamma, and it's our highest, most expanded brain state we can be in, and there's levels of it, and it's what people have described as, let's say, the Buddha being enlightened, or monks who meditate and get to this very conscious space, or people evolving into their light body and so on. Gamma is an access point to that, and we do these simple breath sequences, which I'll describe in a moment, to stimulate our pineal gland in our brain. And when we do that, this chemical called dimethyltryptamine, also known as DMT, or the spirit molecule, becomes activated. This chemistry starts to flow through our brain, and with that comes higher awareness, new insights, new upgraded perspectives on our life, our existence, our environment, our relationship with others, and even more understanding and connectedness with others and their perspectives. And so lots of insight, but then also new information as to new action steps and so on. And this happens by doing these breaths. And other results of the breath is that we regulate other neurochemistry, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, other important chemicals. So, for example, I've seen with clients who were maybe on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications and so on, that they can eventually release those by upgrading their own brain functioning. And so the breaths, I'll say more about the benefits in a moment, but the breaths themselves are simple to do. Like, anyone taking my class will be able to do some of these breaths on their own at home. They each take less than a minute to do. They're these short sequences, and they are a combination of mouth and nose breaths in different ways. I mean, perhaps I could even guide us through a breath during our chat here today. Which,
yes, again, I was going to ask you to do that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Gladly. And just to say a little more about it before we do that, we have many different brainwave states, and they have various purposes. And when we do the breaths, we're actually stimulating energy inside of each brainwave and upgrading the frequency of it. And also then that energy and the brainwaves stimulate all regions of the brain to start to function better, which in turn sends signals through our bodies, endorphins, and healing, harmonizing, regulating, stabilizing, and so on. What's very important about this work is that we are processing memory with the breath. Memory is something that we all store. We just do, and there's simple everyday things that we store as memory that we might not necessarily recollect, but then there's also charged experiences, whether they're stressful or traumatic or super ecstatic. They all carry a lot of energy. And in a way, we store that, but then we might lose the connection to it, or it's so intense that then it doesn't integrate into the body, and attachments occur. This is how people get into addictive patterns. Let's say they're already feeling depleted, or somehow are invited to try something, and then they do, and they become more and more attached to that experience, while other areas of their life start to get imbalanced or depleted. And then there's this charge to that experience that's in the brain and the cellular memory that can be very easily converted with the gamma breath. So what we do is in sessions, either group sessions or with my individual clients, we'll access that particular set of memories and the pattern that's playing out in our life currently, and how it manifests in our body, what we think about it, the environment, the situation. Just look at it all, and then do this breath that converts the charge, where the pathway is triggering it, how it's cycling in the brain. That energy gets to be released and then upgraded into gamma. All of a sudden, we have that energy back that was held in a charge, and this is a way a pattern rapidly gets released. And many, many layers with each breath at that.
Wow.
So that said, I've worked with many different trauma processing techniques over the years, and I love gamma breathwork. It's the quickest I've found. And one aspect is to complete trauma, but more than that, we then want to activate all the positive charges. There's a ton of energy available in those very heightened experiences that then we want to integrate into the body through also doing the breaths. We recollect that positive experience, the peak of it, what we were doing or with who and the environment and so on. And just amplify it with the breath, and all of a sudden it's available to us. And again, that clears the charge or the attachment. It just becomes a part of us. It's like a very important super nutrient, and then our brain gets upgraded by that as well. As our intelligence, our physical functioning, it's really fascinating. I mean, I've seen it personally, how it's affected me and thousands and thousands of other people. So I don't know, hopefully that was kind of clear how I described it, but.
Yeah, I think it's really fascinating. And I don't know if you know it, is this a derivative or an evolution of say, the transcendental meditation field? Because I know when I was looking into sort of gamma brainwave research, that came up a lot. There was a study that I found on Tibetan Buddhist monks that showed that this group had increased levels of gamma brainwaves as a result of transcendental meditation practices. And that, that in comparison to, say, novice meditators, those more experienced meditators had significantly more gamma brainwave activity. So I don't know if if this sort of evolved out of transcendental meditation.
Well, that's a good question. I agree that it's the same effect of the gamma. I'd have to check with Core, who did the work. I would say that he's probably drawn on so many different practices and over the years and ancient techniques and so on.
Sure.
And I also understand this about him. He's somehow got access to all different dimensions of consciousness and has ways of downloading information, and it's based on sacred geometry and all these other topics. And it is that gamma state that how monks have stepped into, and I imagine like ancient tribes through different ceremonies and so on, or with shamans and so on, and also with the added, let's say, futuristic technology of training our brain, which I would say the monks do too, but by staying in our real life experience and converting it, like every day evolving our reality and what we're doing, and by processing the memories. So that's an added interesting effect.
Very interesting. Yeah, and just for those, to help those who were like me, who were like, what are gamma brainwaves? I was very, just completely lost in the beginning looking into this. It's very interesting because sort of this practice, it sounds very, more on the ethereal side of things. It's more on the intangible side of things. And for some people who maybe are like me, who are more, sort of, I need to see and feel and touch something to understand it. I was looking into sort of gamma brainwaves in general, and I found a really interesting article I'm going to post for you guys on the blog that really goes into an explanation of what gamma brainwaves are and how they've been observed and how they are measured and how they affect our brain. And a lot of what you're saying is absolutely spot on. I mean, it helps us with attention, with the binding of the senses and focus and compassion and consciousness. And there's so much going on with gamma brainwaves. I think it's very interesting. So I'm going to post a lot of this on the blog. You guys can go over there this week. It's at blog.mymojoyoga.com/episode 67. That's the episode that we're in. So you guys can check that out over there if you're interested in learning even more about gamma brainwaves. But what I want to do here on the podcast, you mentioned that you might like to take us through an exercise.
Sure. Absolutely.
I'd love to do that.
And I will say this just briefly. Even though I've been describing gamma and these breaths as taking us to these super light body and higher consciousness techniques, spaces, it has very practical applications, since that's where it needs to start. So, for example, we can utilize the gamma energy and the breath to create a certain focus in any area of our life. So let's say it's, I want to eat more healthily. I want to eat more vegetables, right? So then we access a memory of a time where we had an inclination in that way, or access to someone we're inspired by that eats that way, and so on. And then we do a breath to activate that. And all of a sudden we'll find that our body follows the instructions. Like in the next days, we'll find ourselves at the store picking out different foods that are healthier, etc. Or I'd like to get along with my spouse better. And then we access memories of times where there was that understanding and where the communication flowed, and activate those with the breath, creating more neural pathways for that to occur. And being in the gamma state generates, again, more capability and ability to connect with self and others in a very grounded way. So I'll say that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. I think this is super interesting, which is why I really, really want to do an exercise. What sort of exercise do you have in mind that we all might be able to get into here on the podcast right now?
I'd say we could start with a basic gamma breath, and that one takes about a minute to do. And if you feel so after that, maybe we'll add another one on. So we maybe would do a total of 3-4 minutes of the process, if that sounds good. And
that sounds great.
Okay, so I'll describe we're going to do the breath first. I'll be guiding us through the sequence and each step of the breath, so we don't have to memorize anything. It's important to know that for this breath sequence, all the inhales take 3 seconds to fully inhale and then 3 seconds to fully exhale. Again, it's a mix of mouth and nose breaths, which I'll guide. And we want to feel that we are drawing the breath in from our diaphragm and our belly, and that we're attempting to compress our belly button to our spine on the exhale. So it's pretty strong breathing. You'll hear me breathing pretty strongly. So it's very spacious breath. And what we're doing is we're navigating through different brain waves with the sequence and elevating into a gamma state. So once we do the breath sequence, then we can all close our eyes for a few moments and tune into the sensations that will be flowing and just breathe easy, however that is. And then we'll come back, and I would say we'll do one more to amplify the gamma state further.
Sounds great.
All right.
And lead away.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to also add a mudra, which is optional, but it increases the energy flow. This one's just palms together, which supports more connection between left and right brain hemispheres and brain waves. All right, so here we go. In mouth, out mouth. In mouth, out nose. In nose, out nose. In nose, out mouth. In mouth, out mouth. In mouth, out nose. In nose, out nose. In nose, out mouth. One more set. In mouth, out mouth. In mouth, out nose. In nose, out nose. In nose, out mouth. And in mouth, out mouth. Great. And we can all close our eyes and just rub our palms together and release them and relax for a few moments, breathing easy, tuning into the effects. And then when we feel ready, just gently open our eyes. Okay. So before we do another breath, I'll ask you, John Marie, how are you feeling? What are you noticing?
I will say that that might be the best I've felt all day.
That's awesome.
Even yogis have stressful days, and today was one of those days, and that felt amazing. That was great. That was a nice. It was one of the great things I love about breathwork in general, is that it is a reset. It's just a big fat reset button that you can just press, and it was where I first really noticed, yoga and meditation and mindfulness practices sort of spilling over into my life, was how I would turn to breathwork practices at the drop of a hat to reset and recenter myself. And that was an amazing practice. That was highly effective in a very short amount of time.
Wow, it's awesome. Great, yes, and that's just it. This breath, anyone can do anywhere.
Yeah.
And amount of time and just process in real time and reset and generate gamma energy that quick. And so let's do one more. And this time let's amplify a state of being, because then it gets exponentially more powerful even. So for this one, let's all close our eyes and just take a few moments to access a memory of a time from any time in our life. It could be even in childhood, where we just felt lighthearted and playful and free in the moment. And it could be about anything, but the right memory will come. And what we want to do is find that very focused moment where we most felt that way, and just let everything else fall to the wayside. Just notice how that cellular memory becomes available, the energy of the experience starts to magnify. Let it come into the foreground as much as it can. And then we can open our eyes. And I feel guided to do this next breath sequence, that which is an amplification one, if that feels okay. It's also short, but a little more involved than the last one.
Awesome.
But so I'll say this, when I say medium, that means 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out. Slow is 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And fast is 1 second in, 1 second out. But don't worry about remembering that, everyone. Just follow me.
Okay.
So we're going to amplify. For that, we'll do this mudra, so like a diamond shape. And so tuning into the energy of that positive memory. And during the breath, just focus on the breathing. So here we go. Let's inhale, mouth, medium. And in a little more. And hold. Then we do out mouth, in mouth, medium. Out mouth, in nose slow. Out nose, in nose medium. Out nose, in mouth fast. Out mouth, in mouth medium. In a little more. Out nose, in mouth slow. Out nose, in nose medium. Out mouth, in nose fast. Out mouth, in mouth medium. And in a little more. And then let's hold our breath for just a little bit, amplifying the experience. And then out mouth medium. We can close our eyes and immerse into the effects, holding the mudra for a moment. Breathing however feels good. You can release your hands and just let go for a little bit. And this one takes maybe a little longer to integrate, but then just gently we can open our eyes.
That was awesome.
Cool. I jumped to a little bit of a more complicated one, but it felt like the thing to do.
No, that was so great. I love that. I really love the sort of the setup and the setting for that, of recalling a time of sort of pure joy, and recalling that and bringing that to the fore. That's really cool. We talk about how, I think you mentioned, bringing up the cellular memory of that. And I sort of smiled when you said that, because I noticed that I had really just sort of I really gone to that experience and felt it in my body. I was able to really feel it as if I was there. So that was really cool.
So awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Well, that's amazingly how with the gamma work, and I know there's so many amazing, brilliant techniques out there, but with the gamma work, specifically the one I work with, I find that it's such a great way to bring our life into full spectrum, into technicolor. Everything becomes so vibrant. So we can activate all our positive memories and generate energy in our life in the direction we want to, like consciously and with purpose, and train our brain and our awareness in that way, and to cultivate qualities of being and states of being that we want to, and access energy from experiences we've had like that. It's pretty priceless.
Yeah, it seems like a really useful lens to be able to apply to any situation, right? We always have what people always say, it's not really what happens to you, it's how you react to it, or how you choose to act upon it. And I think this is a really nice lens to be able to pull out and apply to any situation that comes to us, right?
Oh, absolutely. So for instance, a team that's working on a project or at a business, corporation, at a school, company, dance company, music, etc., the team can get together and each person can share, like, what do they want to develop more, what needs to evolve, and so on. And then everybody can very powerfully activate with the breath together into the gamma state. So everybody's synced up and can then brainstorm and align, create a blueprint for what the next action steps are and how to develop things. It's really amazing. I consult with companies this way. And then it's the same with couples. I work with couples. So what will keep developing the love and the connection? What will keep the collaboration going? And what will open up heartfelt communication? And so then supporting each partner to share and then breathe, and then share a new perspective and breathe. And it's so interesting, the connection that happens, the more full spectrum understanding that occurs, and again, the syncing up.
Yeah.
It's really...
That's fantastic. I had no idea that you did this with companies and couples. That makes perfect sense. I love it. That's wonderful. Now, if you guys really liked this exercise that we just did, you have more opportunities to do this with Rohi. No matter where you are in the world, you do not have to be right in front of Rohi, because Rohi is on Mojo Yoga now. So by the time this airs, we're recording this a little, behind when we're going to air it. By the time this airs, she'll have already started her Gamma Breath live class series. It's on Thursdays on mymojoyoga.com at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The first class will have been on the 11th, but the next class you guys will be able to catch in just a couple of days on the 18th. So be sure, if you're not already a Mojo member, if you've been sort of hanging out on the periphery and checking out the podcast and such, and you really liked this exercise, be sure to join us now via Rohi's channel. Go to mymojoyoga.com/Rohi-Custage, and I'll link that in the blog. And join us. You get 14 days free, so you get to try the class for free, and I'm sure you'll love it. So you'll get plenty of Rohi at your fingertips, no matter where you are in the world as a Mojo member. We're very excited for you to have these live classes. I can't wait.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. I love what you're doing.
Oh, so thank you. We love what you're doing. Before we go, is there anything else that you wanted to tell everyone about that we didn't get to talk about yet?
Well, not in particular. I feel like we've pretty much covered everything. I know I said a lot too.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you can learn more about this work that Rohi does and all of the wonderful things that she does at energyofbreathinstitute.com. Is there any other website you'd like us to send people to?
Really, that's it. If anyone wants to delve even more deeply into Cora's work and other techniques, then that would be the g.life website.
Okay.
And otherwise, that's it. Well, there's my SoundCloud links are on my homepage if anybody wants to hear the DJ sets and learn more about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll link all of that for you guys in the blog. If you just go to blog.mymojoyoga.com/episode 67, you'll be able to see this video. If you guys are listening, of course, on iTunes or Stitcher, we do have a video of this podcast, so you'll want to check that out on the blog. And of course, grab all the links that we just mentioned here in the show. So thanks so much for joining us, Rohi. I really appreciate it. I feel so much better now. Thank you for ending my day on a high note.
Gladly, likewise.
All right. Thanks so much, you guys. We'll be back next time. Keep your mojo working.
Thanks for hanging out with Jean Marie and Scott on The MOJO Show. If you're stoked on what you heard here, please be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes and leave a little love note in the reviews, if you know what I'm saying. And remember, you can always listen to any and all episodes of The MOJO Show at mymojoyoga.com/The MOJO Show. Until next time, keep keep your mojo working.